today I've got a real treat for you, and I have a surprise that I'm going to announce at the end of the video here that has to do with the show and some stuff we got coming up. But I want to talk about the work of Harold Feinstein. And Harold Feinstein, I believe, is one of the greatest street photographers that America has to offer. He's had a really long, expansive career, and there's two things that you should know about Harold. First of all, he's probably best known for a series of images he did at Coney Island in New York. These were done in the 1950s, 1960s, although I kind of think he shot there his entire life. And they're really important images in terms of Americana, in terms of the mood of the 1950s, and in terms of capturing humanity. And what's interesting, and this is the second thing, is what impresses me about Harold Feinstein is that he has had a career that's spanned almost 60, almost 70 years now. He got started in the 1940s. He's still alive today. And when you look at the breadth of work that he's delivered throughout his career and the range that he's been capable of as a photographer, you have this wonderful mix of experimentation with some abstracts and pushing the boundaries of photography, but at the same time he's perfectly capable of this wonderful street photography and being able to capture humanity and human emotion. I think the best thing to do is let's go over and look at some images, and I just think this is a photographer everybody needs to know. This is the work of Harold Feinstein. In 1931, Harold Feinstein was born in Coney Island. As Harold says, he'd like to think that he fell out of the womb onto the fun park's giant parachute jump while eating a Nathan's hot dog. Feinstein is probably most associated with his years photographing Coney Island. He usually refers to Coney Island as his treasure island. Feinstein started making pictures at the age of 15. As a natural talent, it only took 4 years for Edward Steichen to take notice of the young photographer, and he purchased one of his prints for the permanent collection at MoMA in New York. At the age of 17, Harold joined the Photo League, a cooperative of New York photographers who banded together to expand their creative vision around common social issues and causes. The Photo League included such names as Paul Strand, Berenice Abbott, W. Eugene Smith, Richard Avedon, Ouija, Robert Frank, Edward Weston, Minor White, and many others. In 1951, Harold was drafted for service and served in the Korean War. He originally hoped that he would be enlisted as an army photographer. This didn't work out, but Feinstein considered this a blessing. In his words, "Had I been official, I would have been commanded to photograph medal presentations and officer ceremonies. Instead, I carried my camera around with me all the time during basic training, on the troop ship, and in Korean villages. I was lucky enough to come to know the Korean people up close, just as I also sat shoulder to shoulder with my fellow GIs. Young men, boys really, just like those who fight today. My attempt was to capture the humanity of all involved and find beauty in the midst of tragedy." Following his military service in 1954, Harold moved into a loft at 821 6th Avenue in New York City with painter David Young and musicians Hal Overton and Dick Carey. As Overton's career took off, he started attracting both students and seasoned musicians eager to study composition with him to the loft. Soon, all-night jazz sessions became the norm, with Thelonious Monk, Charles Mingus, Miles Davis, Chet Baker, Art Blakey, and hundreds of others coming to the loft and playing into the night. In 1957, Harold turned his loft over to his friend W. Eugene Smith, who wired up the space for recording and collected hundreds of hours of audio and photographs of jazz jam sessions. By this time, Harold's street photos were being exhibited at Helen Gee's Limelight Gallery, and he started working as a photographer and as a designer for the historic Blue Note Records label alongside Andy Warhol and Reed Miles. Much like his jazz cohorts, Harold developed a passion for teaching. He began a series of private workshops in his 20s, which continued through the years and extended to Annenberg School of Communications, Philadelphia Museum School, School of Visual Arts in New York, the University of Massachusetts Maryland Institute of Art, Wyndham College, and College of the Holy Cross. Harold began experimenting with color in the 1980s, and his subject shifted to botanical work and seashells. Embracing color as a medium, he worked extensively with experimental techniques with a kaleidoscope, drawing inspiration from Frank Lloyd Wright and Louis Kahn, who asked him to photograph their work. In the late 1990s, Feinstein started experimenting with a flatbed scanner, making cameraless digital photograms of flowers that culminated in his seminal book, 100 Flowers. Today, at the age of 83, Feinstein lives in Massachusetts with his wife Judith and recently returned to the darkroom after a 12-year hiatus. Okay, as you guys know, this is usually the point in the video where we either open a book or we go over to Pinterest and we look at some images and I provide some analysis of said images. I'm not going to do that in this episode today because I can do one better for you. On Thursday, I'm going to be traveling up to Boston, actually just north of Boston, and I'm going to spend 2 days with Harold Feinstein, and we're going to do the first of these art of photography specials that I've been talking about for a long time, and I'm really excited about this. This came about probably a couple months ago. I got an email from a gentleman named Max Schenk, and Max is a former student of Harold's, and he is a printer. He works with Harold doing his darkroom printing. And Max is an extremely cool guy, and we started emailing back and forth, and he expressed that they had an interest and wanted to see that if I was interested in coming up to Boston and doing a documentary on Harold and his work. They'd both seen the show, they were both very impressed with what we do here and what we try to do with photography, and of course, I was just completely flabbergasted and blown away that somebody as great as Harold would be interested in working with me on this, and I'm really excited about this. It's taken a while to get the schedules together and get some things moved around, but it's a go, and we're going to do this, and I'm really excited about this. If you guys follow me on like Instagram or Twitter, I'll try and do a little behind the scenes as we go up there, time permitting. But what we're going to do is something that's a little bit different, and this is what I've had in mind for a series of shows that I want to do that are kind of an enhancement, and there's something different than what we do in the studio here every week. And I want to do something that, you know, maybe we'll do these once every 3 months or something of that nature, but these will be more produced. They'll be more of an actual short documentary on Harold and his work and his life as a photographer. I probably won't be in them as much. I'm going to be producing them. I'll be doing an interview, and we'll be doing some other stuff around that. The second thing, and I told Harold's wife Judith that I wanted to do this, and I'm really excited about this, is I've asked her to pull some photographs because I told her that we've been doing this thing, this little segment that we call a one photo deep dive, where we just kind of completely immerse ourselves in one photo, talk about the history behind it and all that. And I told her that, you know, we've done 3 of these so far, and it's something I'm going to continue to do, but one thing that I think would just be really awesome on here is to do one of these with the photographer. And I'm really excited about this, so we're going to give that a go, and we might do a couple of these. And I think from a learning perspective, because I know you guys and myself included on this, we're all students of photography, we're always learning, and we study this work to try to get better ourselves. And I think when you're actually able to work with a photographer on there, I think it's an opportunity to have discussion and open the doors to some thinking and get an insight that we don't get. You know, when I do the one photo deep dives, I research them as best I can. I try to find stories around them. I try to find things that are significant about the photograph. But a lot of the analysis of the composition and stuff is really my opinion. Most often, I don't know the artist, and I don't really know, but we're being speculative, but we're talking about what makes the composition interesting. And I think having a photographer there to provide additional insight and discussion and maybe tell us some things about the image that were intended that we don't see, or I don't know. Anyway, I think there's a world of awesome things that can come of this. So anyway, Harold Feinstein is going to be the first one of these that we're going to do. And like I said, I probably plan on doing these, you know, because of the travel and the expense involved. I want to do these once every 3 months or so. And so, you know, the Wynn Bullock segment that we did back in October, which I have not finished yet, we're going to expand on that. And I'm actually going to go to California next year and do some more filming with Barbara and Lynn and put some more story together to go with this. So Harold will really be the first one out of the gate here, and I'm really just blown away and excited to be doing this. Just the fact that I'll be able to stay with the Feinsteins and have discussions with them and film this video is, I think it's a huge deal for the show, and I've waited a long time to do something like this. So I'm really excited. I hope you guys are excited about this. We'll do the filming, then I'll come back. We're going to do a soundtrack that'll go with this. They're going to be really well produced, and they're going to be a lot different than what we do 3 times a week here on the regular show. So they'll be a special deal. So anyway, I hope you guys find that cool. And I don't want to talk about any images today because we're going to have an incredible opportunity to talk about all this stuff with Harold later this week. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to contact me, and we'll get going on this. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.